see how you do under pressure. Oh, yeah, I've been wanting this forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Okay, hey, yeah, ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra, extra.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another episode podcast to talk about our favorite team, the Arizona Cardinals. And today we are opening up another channel member roundtable. We got 4 people that we got going to be bringing up here within the next minute or so to chop it up, all things Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, huge shout out here to the sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube, BetUS. Now, did you know that BetUS has a casino for all my followers right now? If you do use BetUS, they currently do have a casino that they provide 200% sign-up bonus up to $5,000 and 250% for crypto sign-up bonus. So, yes, you heard all about BetUS here on the sportsbook side, but check out their casino. They do all sorts of different slots, any of that stuff. So if you're a gambling man or woman, check out BetUS by using promo code YouTube150 upon signing up. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's go and bring up our channel members here of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube. I want to make sure that I give some love here to every single one of them. So, here we are. We got Ivan, Mark, RC3, and Arturo. Yes, he's still there. Perfect. How are you guys doing overall?
I'm back.
Good. How are you doing, Arturo?
Well, good, Mike.
Good. Awesome. Well, let's get started here. We got a lot of topics to dive into in this episode. This is something that I want to start doing here more in the 2025 season. So appreciate you guys for obviously going the extra mile. And for the people out there watching, do me a huge favor, smack up the like button if you like this content. And if you want to be involved, channel member. That's all you got to do. Super simple. So let's get started. I want to get a real quick gauge on how you guys feel about the end of the 2024 season. Are you happy? Are you not happy? Do you feel like the Cardinals choked away an opportunity? I want to start off and open up this roundtable with Arturo and how you feel about the way the Cardinals ended up the 2024 season.
I really feel like we choked this season out. I don't know. I don't know. I had so much belief in this team this season, and then after we got back from the bye, and you were right. I kind of was blaming the organization instead of Murray, but then I started seeing him with his interceptions and just blowing games. I see. I realized that once I seen the Falcons game with Mike. What's his name? The quarterback they drafted. The
Penix.
Falcons?
Penix.
Yeah, Penix. I seen how he was being clutch against the Commanders, man, and I don't see that in Murray, and he's a rookie, and you're right. I'm like, he's already Murray's already in his 6th year, and I mean, he chokes away, he throws an the game-winning interceptions and all that.
Okay, so choking is what you're feeling about the 2024 season. All right, let's move on over to Mark. Mark, what are your thoughts on the 2024 season? I know we had you on 2 weeks ago. It's been 2 weeks since I talked to you. How do you feel about the way the Cardinals ended?
After the bye was just horrid. So before then, it was we were 6-2, which is great. This is where I wanted us to be. Bye comes. I knew it was going to happen. Every year at the bye, we go to the tank. So that's something that Murray definitely has to work on. I mean, it's not college anymore. It's time to put your big pants on.
Okay. Ivan, and then we're going to follow up with RC3.
Yeah, so overall for the season, I mean, pretty underwhelming. And I'll say that because August came around, we had low expectations of this team. If you had playoffs in mind in August, then I'd say you're quite the optimist. But we went into the season with low expectations. We hit the bye week on the high, right? And then from there, with the high expectations that we had based off overperforming, we fell flat on our faces. So overall, a little bit underwhelming. I felt like we should be a playoff team. But, at the end of the day, you have to look at it from a couple different spheres. Kyler Murray's, pretty bad performance after the bye. And then just to keep in mind, that Monty built this roster on a budget. So a couple of those things to take away, but at the end of the day, kind of overwhelming, and just looking on to the 2025, which I think is the make or break year.
By the way, I love the jersey. Great stuff there, Ivan. All right, let's move on over to RC3. Do you agree with everybody in the chat, or do you have something different?
Remember this notebook?
Yeah, I remember it, man. I remember it.
This notebook is very undefeated, right? Okay. So let me explain something to you with that, right?
Good.
They are where I think that they're supposed to be. Technically, nobody had us winning over 8 games. That's number one. Number two, we played all the teams that were the top teams early, which should have came out as victories anyway, because teams was trying to find a niche of what they was going to do and how they can be collabing. Our weakness came from the teams that were actually was losing to that we didn't take grasp and advantage of. And also, how far do you think you're going to go with no front seven? So you got to look at the categories and stuff. It's not the offense. People are not letting Kyler Murray play his game of offense. And the game of offense that he plays is he has to move his feet and be mobile. That's where he gets the most reception and plays from. So if you're looking for Marvin Harrison to be this 1,200-yard receiver, you got to understand he's a rookie, and rookies gonna make mistakes. So if you don't boo him right now, you're gonna boo him later because he's going to miss big plays. He still has to get his foot in the game, and we have money. So that's another thing. We play all our hearts out until we get what we need next year, and this is where we at.
Okay, so I think they had us at 6.5 wins, and I remember Murray says bet the over. I mean that worked out for whoever bet the over, if you guys are a gambling man or not. But let me ask you this: I do agree with the gauntlet to start off the season, RC3. But wouldn't you think that where the season eased up for the Cardinals, it would be an easier, not easier because it's hard to win games in the NFL. But do you feel like there is some sort of way that the Cardinals, I don't say choke, but kind of choked away any opportunity to win the division? Do you have any of that? Because you're right, the first part was really easy, but that second part was seen to be one of the easiest schedules to end the season. What are your thoughts on that, RC3?
My thing is that everybody forget we got the toughest schedule that came in this season anyway. For us to not have no defensive ends and no defensive tackles to actually put our heart and soul out there, we did pretty good for somebody with 8 games because they didn't even have us winning all of that within that time frame. Remember, we had Washington, we had Buffalo, we had Green Bay, we had Detroit. All these teams they said that was going to manhandle us, and we played heart, guts, and soul out there. And if you look at it, all games were very close that ended up either in field goals or little trial and errors. Again, Kyler Murray is not the problem. It's the playbook and the chemistry. This is his first time actually having a quarterback that actually coached and a playbook that he has to follow lead so he won't get hurt again.
So, okay. Now, let's segue into Drew Petzing, just because obviously the talks about Drew Petzing was in there. Let me ask you guys this real quick. Obviously, the reports, I'm pretty sure everybody saw it, right? That the Bears have requested to interview Drew Petzing. And Ian Rappaport's tweet or post, they end up saying, a rising star or a rising, candidate out there. What are your thoughts overall about, do you see him going to a different organization, or do you feel like I feel that there's other candidates that probably can get those positions and he's going to stay the offensive coordinator of the Cardinals? Let's start off with RC3 and then we'll go to Ivan.
Technically, Jonathan Gannon, these are his boys, right? And he want them to get head coaching jobs. That was the code for everything. If anything in his right state of mind, as long as he could get Pets in a job, he would love to have Steichen back into his system. And they can work that out and have a reunion. So my thing is this: Arizona's always been known for the passing game, not the rushing game. Petson has played with Cleveland with Nick Chubb and the other running back, I forgot. But that's how they've been running. They've been running a Pittsburgh offense the whole entire time. That is not our gameplay. We have 5 wide and wide receivers all the time, and we made major plays, which was Kyler Murray's best years under Cliff Kingsbury, who was an offensive coordinator and a head coach who wasn't really respected. So now that you have a person that is respected and have a playbook and also get a better wide receivers coach, you can have something going on in your office and then break the bank for defense, and then you will have a more solidified team.
So do you think that Drew Petzing will get the job or get the job offered by Chicago, or think he's going to stay as the Cardinals offensive coordinator?
We might even be surprised. He might not even go there. The Giants have luck. The Jets might have something. Like, look at the teams that always take Arizona players. Todd Bowles, for once. Let's talk about, every time Arizona had somebody that was there, Vance Joseph left, and he went there. All the opportunities that they had, somebody always took somebody from Arizona. They didn't stay. It's because their management didn't click well. These are young people who's running a young offense, who's playing plays, and they love football but don't know the heart of the players, and this is why we having an issue.
Okay. Ivan, what are your thoughts about Drew Petzing, about that report that came out from Ian Rappaport early this morning?
Yeah, so I think it's a bit of a double-edged sword, right? Because you don't want to install another playbook for Kyler to learn on the make it or break it year for him, which I think is going to be next year, not only for him but also for Gannon. So you don't want to see another playbook installed, but then you have to look at the good positive sides of Drew Petzing. So I've been critical of Drew Petzing for the majority of the year, especially after the bye. Didn't agree with some of the play calls at times. The third down, DeMarcado draw plays, like things like kind of got on my nerves. But to look at the glass half full, Kyler was only sacked 30 times last year, which I'm pretty sure is his career low. So he kept him healthy. That's with a depleted offensive line. And then a solid running game. Again, I think almost 5.5 yards per carry this season as well. So, like, those are the good things that are keeping Kyler healthy. And as far as the passing game goes, I mean, I'm sure that can be improved, and I'm hoping for it on a third year if we keep Drew Petzing. But, I kind of take away the positives from Drew being here. And one thing that we haven't talked about is this is Kyler's first year ever playing a full slate. He never played 6, let alone 17 games. So I attribute that, a little bit of that, to Drew Petzing's play calling, I guess, but just his ability to keep him upright and to get a solid running game going. So I think it's a double-edged sword if we see him go. I'm kind of on the fence about it, but if I was a betting man, I would bet that he stays for next year.
Yeah. Arturo, let's shift on over to you, and then we'll finish off with Mark. What are your thoughts on Drew Petzing? Do you think he's going to get another opportunity, a opportunity to be a head coach, or do you think he's going to be the offensive coordinator for the Cardinals next year?
I mean, I agree. I completely agree with what Ivan just said. I think he should stay as like a double-edged sword, like he said. Like, Kyler's never finished the season until this year, and I'm like, if it's gonna be his prove it year next year, then he should stay. I'm like, if Murray can get the job done next season, I mean, both of them should just go.
That's fair. Okay, Mark, let's finish off with you. Go ahead.
I like Petzing, so he's got a full playbook on there. It's not Kingsbury where it's like, dink and dunk, and that's all he's got. So, in my opinion, I like Petzing, so I wish he'd stay. I hope he don't go.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, it's one of those situations where obviously, I think Ivan brings up a great point with the whole idea that it almost kind of felt like it took a year or half a year or maybe even a year and a half, depending on who you talk to, that Kyler Murray took to learn the playbook and get the feet right. Because we all been talking about it's a completely different system, right? He's now under center compared to what it was before. So I think it would make sense for, if this is truly a make or break a year for Kyler Murray, have the same implemented system. But we can't lie to ourselves, ladies. If somebody was offered a promotion and that is probably Drew Petzing, he probably would take the promotion. Let's call it like it is. I feel like there's more suitable candidates. Go ahead.
I just hope you don't.
Yeah, so that's fair. I just feel like there's more suitable candidates better for that position in Chicago, because that's right now the only really position that he's requested to get a interviewed for. So as of right now, we don't know any other place, but okay, that's fair. Let's move on over to the next topic here. It's all going to be it's all going to be surrounded.
I want to add on something, Mike.
Go ahead, Arturo.
Didn't Carson Palmer, didn't he have a hard time his first year with Bruce Arians' offense as well?
He might.
I think it took him like a whole year. I think it took him a whole year because I think the next season, that's when we had that great 13-2 season, I believe.
I'm gonna have to do a little research on that. So as far as Go ahead.
Because we were like 10-6 his first season. We were like the best team not to make the playoffs that year.
So as far as I can remember, when Bruce Arians has been here, he's been always winning.
But his first year. But his
His
first year.
but his
Yeah, I
first
think he
year.
had trouble with his offense. Because I think the next year they exploded.
Yeah, Arturo, if I may, the
Go ahead.
first year Carson came into Arizona threw 22 picks. So I do remember that season
Yeah.
kind of being a rough. The second year he got injured. The third year he blew up, which was
Okay.
the 20 let's see here, the 2015 season. So it
Carson
was his
Palmer
third year.
was. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead, RC3. Go ahead.
Carson Palmer was playing through injuries from what he was already suffering before he got to Arizona. And the thing was, he was playing through injuries the time that he was there. It wasn't because of the playbook or anything that he did a hard time with them. It was the fact that he already had nagging injuries that he had when he were playing. Just like when Kyler Murray, when you said to give Petson another play about what's going on, to me, it's like they don't mesh well. I just feel like it should be 50-50. Let Kyler do his thing to get him bailed out of situations, and Petson could bail Kyler out of situations too. That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's interesting. Because I mean, I know this coaching staff is really, really predicated on obviously learning, from whatever. I don't know. I just don't know if Kyler Murray, I kind of felt like knew the game plan in terms of the new or like how heavy run Petzing was. And, you heard Kyler Murray say that he was a genius. But of course, you hear a lot of coaching talk here and there about things that sometimes you're like, what the heck are they saying? Like, that doesn't make sense. So, but yes, 2013 is when Palmer came in. I can't find the stats to save my life, but I'm going to take it on Ivan's word here. If he struggled, that makes sense. But his first year of Bruce Arians, Ivan, they were a winning team, right? Wasn't there already like 8 or 9 wins from the first season,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Yep.
he came in and
Okay, cool. All right. For some reason, I'm not able to do it on live. I think I'm having some sort of issue here on my end, but okay, cool. All right. So there's the whole Drew Betting thing. I kind of feel the same way as you, Mark. Keep him. If he's not getting offered anywhere else, just keep him. It just makes sense for the people out there that want him fired. I don't know. I just felt like it never really was a situation where I was ever thinking that he was in the hot seat. Did I make a couple thumbnails with him on fire? Of course I did, right? But, at the end of the day, I never thought that he was going to go anywhere because seems to be like a 3-year rebuild. And we are kind of in the situation that we are in right now. So let's move on over to what Jonathan Gannon ended up saying today about Kyler Murray. Obviously, he ended up having his media session with Burns and Gambo, which is the Arizona local station here. We got 2 clips from them, and then we got 1 clip here from the media session. I want to play this clip for you guys about the high ceiling of what Kyler Murray has, and this is what Jonathan Gannon had to say about that.
Very high ceiling. Very high ceiling.
What did you see this year that makes you believe that?
He's a top-level franchise quarterback, and he's played like that. He's shown that. He was in there talking to me today. We're kind of going through some things, this and that, and I think the best teams win. So we got to make sure we have the best team, and he understands how he fits into that.
Real quick, let's start off with Arturo here real quick. Just overall with this glimpse of clip that we hear here, what are your thoughts on what Jonathan Gannon had to say about Kyler?
Can you give me a second, Mike? Can you put it to somebody?
Yes, of course. Let's start off with RC3.
I guess he knows that Kyler is a winning quarterback, but at the same time, it's like, when you're going to put some things in his hands to do on his own, because if you look at it, Kyler plays better when he was outside of the shotgun instead of under the center, and he had better statistics that way. Only time that he lined up under the center is when they're doing running plays, and it really balanced it out. They should have a way of making a playbook going back and forth. Like, Gannon sees the potential in everything that's in Kyler and just feels like that he really got to his head that he can teach him how to win and make it happen, because he just went to the Super Bowl not too long ago, and Kyler wants to go to the Super Bowl and win it all. But in order for that to happen, he has to be very disciplined about what's going on right now. And I think that he believes Kyler can get them there.
I don't know if you guys know, but the splits of under center, and I wish I had it with me, or shotgun. Can we all agree that we see Kyler Murray in shotgun a lot still? Like, I still feel like I see Kyler Murray in shotgun a lot of these games. No,
No, I see him under center a lot more than
a
he
lot
used
more.
to ever be.
Yeah, I
Ivan,
agree with that.
yeah, okay. All right, what are your thoughts, Mark, on the clip from the high ceiling and being a top tier or top notch quarterback that Gannon said about K1?
Believe it or not, I am now a Kyler fan, even though he needs to put on his big boy pants. So sorry, I have to still give him a little jab every once in a while.
That's fair.
But no, I think he's a great quarterback. I mean, he's grown into it. The only things that I'm worried about is his attitude in the locker room. I mean, I've said that way back when he first started, and everything else turned out it was D Hop that was the big problem in the locker room. So I thought it was Kyler at the time. It was really D Hop that was the problem. So now I think there's just little bits that he's doing that I can see uh, stuff on the field where you know he's pointing over to the receiver, going, hey, what's going on? That type of thing. That is the only contention that I can see, and that's so minor compared to what it was, when D Hop was here. So, in my opinion, I think he's grown up a lot. So he can play. Uh, like RC3 said, yeah, I do wish he would call a play or two of his own. You know, I mean, he sees more what's out on that D line than anything else. So he should be able to call that audible and be able to do his own thing. That's
Okay.
my opinion.
Ivan, thoughts?
Yeah, so prior to getting on, the NFL published their 45 minutes of Kyler Murray's 2024 highlights. So I went back and watched that just to get a good feeling again, man. And I did. And I'll tell you what, for as much criticism as Kyler's taken, especially amongst our fan base, I'm happy he's the guy next year. I don't see us getting rid of him this offseason at the very minimum. But I mean, he makes plays out there that just only a handful of guys can ever make. That I've seen. Just the talent is there. So when Jonathan Gannon is saying this is a talented guy who hasn't reached the ceiling, I 100% agree. If it's on a more consistent basis that he can make, this 45-minute highlight reel that I just watched of him just of last season, like if he can keep that up and do what he does best, I think the sky's the limit for him. It's just the constant downfalls that we've seen, but I really enjoy Gannon like completely and utterly having faith in Kyler. You can see that when he talks in these press conferences, like he's all bought in on Kyler. So that's good to see. Hopefully it works once again, but from a talent aspect and seeing him control the offense as we've seen, sparks of this past year, it gets you excited as a fan and know that, these things could come if he's more consistent. So that would be my case for Kyler, and hope it works out.
Okay, let's finish it off here with Arturo.
I think he just sees his potential that Murray has during practice and all that. Murray just doesn't know how to put it into the field in the NFL, and I feel like he still has a lot to grow up because I'm from over here where Murray's from Allen, Texas, and I seen how he used to be like he was not used to losing.
Yeah.
And obviously you're not going to grow from that. Like they always say, you learn more from a loss than you do in a win. So he's always had that same attitude. I'm like, and you see it when he loses. I'm like, hey, don't talk to me when,
Yeah.
like, I prefer being by myself and all that. He wasn't like that whenever I would see him in games in Allen High School. when he was over there winning, he would know nothing about that. So like, it's always just potential, 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 you know? I
Yeah.
like, that's not what I saw. That's not what I saw. And like, nobody saw nobody said potential this and over here. And they said, this guy has it. He has this. I like, he's going to bring a Super Bowl wherever he goes. I'm like, he's going to bring championships like he brought to Texas. I'm like, and I'm not seeing any of that, what he had over here, man. I'm like, I don't know. I was like, he just needs to learn how to grow up and just finally put everything together. And it's going to be next year.
Yeah. Well, just to touch on a little bit what RC3 had to say about, obviously, it almost does feel like this is a different Kyler Murray. Obviously, different scheme and just a different look of what this offense rolls in. I want to get a quick take, and it doesn't have to be, 1 minute, just 30 seconds. How is your overall thoughts on this offense when James Conner is in the game compared to when he's not in the game? Now, I don't want to come out here and say, oh, we got to get rid of James Conner. That's not what I'm saying, but it is different. Like, I almost kind of feel like it's Kyler Murray chucking the ball deep. Now, granted, we saw a 2-game sample size. I want to see more consistency to actually make a full take on this. But what is your thoughts overall on the 2-game sample size that we really didn't see a lot of James Conner versus the Rams? And, of course, didn't see James Conner in Week 18. How different this offense looked like when Kyler Murray is not dinking and dunking only, but actually chucking the ball deep down the field. RC3, do you have a take on this?
Yeah, when the offense is running, you gotta think about it. You got a hitting gym running back out there too, even though he's a tight end, which is McBride. So when you throw on a run, McBride is gonna catch up any accumulated yards that Kyler didn't have when Connor's not we had a lot of beat up running backs. So at the end of it, Michael Carter did good, DJ Dallas did good. Everybody came in and showed themselves. This shows that we don't need no problems or issues to move. I love the guy Scatterboo that they talk about, but the fact is the fact it remains is like the running back core is amazing. It is just that at the end of the time, you just gotta know when to fit and roll in here. Let Kyler run his legs and then still camouflage with the running backs we have, and you get more play.
Okay. Mark, thoughts on the last 2 games in terms of the difference of the offense and how it looked like without Conner?
I like both. I mean, that last game, we were just rolling down the field, and the whole works. And to me, that looked great. But then I see, the ones where we are dinking and dunking a little bit, but then you get McBride out there doing his thing. You get Harrison Jr. doing his thing and actually catching the ball. And sorry. And I mean, we've got the weapons there. We do. And all 3 of the running backs, it's running back by committee, they did well all year long. So I have nothing to say bad other than we need a better line. That's it.
Okay. Ivan, thoughts?
Yeah, so I think I think it's a couple things at play. I think it's the scheme, the Drew Petzing offense, the scheme. We can run the ball no matter who's back there, and I think we've seen the evidence of that the past couple games. I mean, even Tony Jones ripped off a 45-yarder yesterday. So I think like the scheme is there. It's the game plan that I think that dictates, how much we feed James Conner, the dinking and dunking that goes on, take what the defense is giving you. I think some of that is partially due to the game plan because the last 2 years we've always been able to run. Like the numbers point to that. So I think it's just more of the game plan. Like we saw Week 2 against the Rams, a perfect game plan was drawn up, which made our offense look amazing. The 4-game winning streak, same thing. These last 2 games, he didn't have his workhorse James Conner, which is okay. So we're good. We're going to game plan to throw the ball more, to take deeper shots downfield. So I think the Drew Petzing offense, I will give him credit for that, includes the running game. That's almost like a given at this point,
right?
Even with the offensive line. But I think is the game plan that has the biggest impact on what Kyler Murray's numbers look like, and if we're stretching the ball downfield a little bit.
Okay, let's finish it off here with Arturo. What are your thoughts on the way that the offense looked like in the last 2 games compared to obviously the rest of the season?
honestly, they don't really mean anything to me because those games didn't even mean anything. You know, I'm like, we were just playing just to play. I'm like, what really mattered to me was that when that Panthers game, whenever Connor went down, what happened right there? I mean, we could have done, we could have threw it deep and all that. We didn't have a running game, so I'm like, it doesn't. These two games didn't mean anything to me. We sucked that game with the Panthers. I'm like, we had a chance to win it, even if we
Uh,
had it. So I don't know.
no, I mean you're not alone in that feeling. So don't feel shame. I know it's you're not alone in that feeling. I know that there's a lot of the dagger in the heart. I guess is the best way to describe it. After that Panthers game, the last two games was like let's wait and see what happens here against this
Yeah,
team. So
yeah, exactly. So it didn't really tell me anything. I'm like, honestly, if we wanted to play like we did these two games, we should have really done it right then. The Panthers game, like it was win and go home by that point.
yeah, that's fair, and it's one of those things that's a big question mark that's always going to be surrounding this coaching staff / Kyler Murray is can he win the big games? And right now, all we can hope for is that we're going to be putting more talent with the money that we have coming into this offseason. Hopefully, we can get the job done. All right, I got two clips here, and obviously credit to Burns and Gamble here of Arizona Sports. That's where these clips come from. But I got two clips right here that we're going to be dissecting. One of them is basically. It's Dave Burns talking to Jonathan Gannon because every Monday he comes in and speaks, but he ends up asking him what was the conversations that they had in the end of the season. And this is what Jonathan Gannon had to say about the talks that he had with Kyler.
Wouldn't expect you to tell us what you said to Kyler Murray, but I am curious based off of what I read on social media about some of the comments you just made a couple of minutes ago about him having yet to reach his ceiling. What do you think is the ceiling for Kyler Murray, and what do you think he needs to do to get there?
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of things. He came in and talked to me, and I got about, 5 note cards for him, only typically a half a note card for a guy. But I'm excited. I'm really excited for him moving forward because I think that we're gonna be a better team around him. I was joking about with him. I said we went through the quarterbacks in the playoffs, and I said, what's the one consistent with all those guys? And he started giving me what he thought in his mind, some consistencies of those guys. And I said, I'll just stop you right there. You know what the common denominator for those guys that we just listed? Good teams. So we got to be a good team. And he obviously fits into that, being our franchise quarterback. So we'll do a good deep dive this off season with him and figure out ways to improve his game and improve the team.
So we had 5 note cards for Kyler Murray compared to, I guess, the half note card that he usually has for other players. But let's go ahead and talk about this real quick. Let's start off here with Mark. What are your overall thoughts on this clip specifically? Obviously, very high praise. The ceiling, it could be very, very high with Kyler. What are your thoughts overall on this?
Oh, it's definitely going to be high. I mean, it has to be high this next year. I mean, come on, it's make or break. I mean, this is the year that we're going to have to worry about. We got to get people in there to help him and everything else. The only thing is that I think he needs to work with Petzing more in order to sit around and do a good game plan. And I think that's probably where their whole bit has been. It's been Petzing doing everything, saying, "Hey, this is how we're going to do it," and not giving Kyler anything really to do. So.
Okay, let's move on over to Ivan. What are your thoughts?
So again, I think you hit the nail on the head. You have to have a good team around you. So we look around the league. Joe Burrow just put up historic numbers, but he's on a crappy team, right? So as a Bengals fan, how do you feel? Oh yeah, Joe Burrow had a great year. So did Jamar Chase, but we didn't make the playoffs, right? Or we look at the flip side of that, and somebody that we praise every day is the best quarterback currently playing, Pat Mahomes. His offense hasn't scored 30 points all year. So that's indications that he's got a good team around him. So, I think there's a little give and take with it. The quarterback play is obviously a huge portion of the team's performance. But at the end of the day, I go back to this team we balled on a budget this year. Monty didn't spend, and it might have been for good reason. I don't know. But in any event, like once we add some key players here and maybe some more difference makers, then we could start gauging this whole team in its entirety. I think that'll be a more fair take.
Okay. Let's go to Arturo, and then we'll finish off with RC3.
Yeah, I think we need to build a team around Kyler. How like just go all, like Jerry said, all in, all in. That's what we gotta do. And then I don't see us signing Michael Parsons. I like what you said. I live over here in Dallas, and he has a losing mindset in him. We don't need that culture inside our locker room. I'm like, and then giving him all the draft picks and then paying him so we can have that loser mentality. If we lose, if we take the scoreboard off, I'm like, we technically beat the Panthers and the Seahawks. So I'm like, I think we just need to build a team, like a team around Murray. I'm like, with winning mentalities, we don't need that losing culture. I'm like, the Cardinals have already had that their whole organization. We need that winning mindset in there.
That's fair. I guess so. With Parsons, I don't mind him coming. I don't think it's gonna happen. Like I don't think it's ever gonna happen. I think the Cowboys are somehow gonna find a way.
I don't want him. I live here in Dallas, and I hear his the radio show and all that. He has a delusional cowboy mindset. I'm like, dude, I see all these players that they have here, and they're so freaking delusional. We don't need that mindset in our locker room. I'm like,
I mean, Jerry Jones is delusional, man. You got to circumcise a mosquito. Let's go with RC3, man. RC3 finishes off, man.
So many rebuttals for everybody, and I have to ask everybody a question. I'm gonna start with rebuttal number one. Since we were talking about Dallas, let's not forget that Kyler coaching before Jonathan Gannon came here was a Dak Prescott syndrome. So we're not going to sit here and think we had team and people evolved around that made him good, but just could not cut it because injury kicked in and different things started happening to him. Another thing that I've heard too when you guys were talking and they were saying you got to build an offense around Kyler. My thing is, how could you build something if you never threw the ball? You've been running the ball most of the season and you haven't really been throwing out passes. And another thing is that I understand everybody saying Micah Parsons this, Micah Parsons that, right? But if I can remember, didn't Buffalo pay Mario Williams like $100 million? Or they took an old player like Jordan Phillips from our team that couldn't get no sacks and got 8 sacks with Buffalo. Like we could talk about players that play from under there. It's all about coaching and depth. If you have the right person to plug and play, come on, guys. It's Patrick Mahomes. He used his legs and he has a defense. You got to look at that too as well, is because Kansas City is the most watched team and they don't get embarrassed. It's just the last game they played, Patrick didn't play. And it showed that what happens if Mahomes is not there. Kyler is not at that establishment yet because he hasn't been coached. He had Andy Reid his whole life, basically, since he's been coaching. Kyler has multiple coaches that's there, but never had a coach like Jonathan Gannon has. And since you guys are talking about Micah Parsons, I'm going to say Myles Garrett, because Myles Garrett, it doesn't take for you to go back into the draft to get more draft picks. Trade that pick and take a pick for next year and get Myles Garrett on this team to bring motivation for get anybody else and everybody else to sign. We did it before because look how we sat there and got Chandler Jones and then we build around Chandler. We can do the same exact thing with this front line here.
Real quick, what do you think it would take to get a Myles Garrett? I think Myles Garrett might be older by at least 2 or 3 years compared to Chandler Jones when we traded for him. But what do you think, RC3, it would take to bring in because we're probably talking about first round picks, right?
We can go. It's a late first round pick, to be honest with you, going towards the second.
Fair.
So if you do that and then do a third for next year, I mean, that's not a problem. It's because Johnny Gannon, Monty Ossenfort is good of getting multiple picks back anyway. So if you look at the category, how did J.J. Watt work for us when he played with us? He was over the hill, but he made it work, right?
I mean, he was pretty solid.
Yeah, pretty solid at his age, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So he still had sacks left in him. While Myles Garrett can teach a younger core that comes in here to build off of this defense, this front seven. You need rotational players. Remember, BJ Ojolari was out for the season. He could learn under Myles Garrett. You have Darius Robinson. He could learn under Myles Garrett. You have multiple people that you have there. Even the guy that we just got, Browning, that we just got over there, working under Myles Garrett under there. We already have the intensity and core of Mac Wilson, and we got Kazir White that's actually playing their heart and soul out too, and Buda Baker. How much motivation do you need? Your front line needs a front line leader, and you don't have no front line leader that's there. So you have to start from somewhere when you want to break the bank. And I think, honestly, on offense, you don't need a small receiver. You don't need a speed receiver. You got Marvin Harrison. You got Michael Wilson. Now you have to go and get you a nice veteran wide receivers. I say keep Weaver. I love Dortch, but Dortch need to go get paid, and he need to go get his money, and we can't be keeping him there long enough, okay? So let Weaver take his spot and do what he does, and let's go get somebody that's there. I'm rekindle the D Hop back if you want to, so he can learn from him. I mean, Stephon Diggs, he looked like he don't fit in the Texans. Like, look at all the options and opportunities, and we have the money for him. So, and if y'all talking about Scatterboo putting over there, DeMarcaro is going to leave because he's the weakest link out of there. Look at the fire offense that we actually have is going to build, but that money, get that front line. Make sure your offensive line is straight. Get a veteran wide receiver in here. And please, get rid of Clayton Tune. Oh, my gosh.
All right. That's actually going to be kind of the next segue that we're going to talk about as well. But real quick, anybody want to kind of talk
Can I
about
add on to that?
Go on. Yes, go ahead, Arturo.
I agree. I agree with him. I'm like, well, not about that. Whenever he said, William about Michael Parsons, I mean, Williams. I mean, the Texans were up and over. I mean, he didn't have I mean, they were losing at the time and all that, but they didn't have that delusional loser mindset. I'm like, we need win. I like Myles Garrett. He doesn't say anything dumb like Michael Parsons says. I'm like, I said we get Garrett, and he coaches up our young players just like JJ Watt did to Zach Allen. You know. I'm like, if we just let him go, I'm like, for what? So he can shine on another team. I'm like, we should have kept Zach Allen, and then I feel like we need to trade for Garrett and then sign Greenlaw as well because his contract's up already after this season. I'm like, even though he had that injury, I'm like that game that he played for a while. I'm like, he was playing his mind out. I'm like, we need players like that with the winning mindsets, even if they're in a losing team that just want to win, come and win. We don't need no losers in our team anymore. I'm like, if we want to change this franchise, I'm like, we need to have like a Buda Baker mindset, that want to win, not lose, and just come for a check.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Terry Kill. He got his money and he wants to leave.
Yep. Yeah, the guy that kind of rings to my mind, Terrell Suggs, that came over to the Cardinals and he just wanted to get paid, man. That was very unfortunate. But anybody else, Ivan or Mark, have anything to say about I know there were a lot, but anybody? Mark.
Oh,
go ahead.
Mike, one more thing. The question. Go ahead. Anybody?
Go ahead,
It's on me?
Yep, go ahead.
I had a question for everybody that's in here. Will we be having the same conversation if Kyler Murray played preseason?
What do you
Because
mean by
remember,
that?
he hasn't played. Because apparently everybody's was complaining, and I've been in the AZ Sports fan for the longest. And everybody's complaining about Colin not playing preseason. He's not this. He don't know his playbook. He don't know this or whatever. He was just going off the fly coming in regular season, learning his players. Do you think that Colin should have played more of a preseason to learn his offense so he could have more of a build up with his team that make a better record for them going to the playoffs?
I don't agree with that. No, I don't think he needs to play the preseason. I mean, why risk an injury?
I agree with him.
Ivan?
If he does, maybe a drive or two a game.
Maybe.
I mean, if we look into week one immediately right off the bat against a pretty decent Bills defense, I think he almost put up 30. The offense did. So right off the bat, to attribute that, I think he put 28 or 31 the first game, if I'm not mistaken, and then 41 the next game. So I can't really attribute that to any rust if he's putting up those kind of numbers. So I'm not sure if the preseason would have helped him.
I think they should have played preseason. I think they should have played preseason.
Thank you.
Yeah, 2
Thank you.
week or 2 drives, 1 drive. I think they should have played. Well, because the biggest thing in terms of what I have to say is, but here's the thing: I don't think it would have changed. Like these conversations would still be having, like regardless if he was playing preseason or not. Like if the same result happened, we would still be talking about the same thing. I don't think preseason would have won us a game or two. My whole talk of preseason was more around the thoughts of why is this connection not there, right? Because we're seeing this miscommunication since the beginning of the season, and they said we're going to get it fixed till the end, and they never got it fixed. I mean, it kind of got a little bit better towards the end, right? A little bit better, but there was obvious miscommunications in Week 15 versus the Panthers, and it still happened. So that was my mindset. It wasn't more like, oh, we can win games if you were winning preseason. I would love to see a preseason, drive or two on a specific game. Doesn't have to be all the games, but we were kind of led to believe that, oh, they got this, and they didn't get it. Like the miscommunication was really, really apparent from the jump. So that's probably me that said I would like to see him, but it wasn't based off of they're going to win more games. It was more based off the connection that Kyler and Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't have.
Hey Mike, did you see? I was just thinking, did you see your future if you would have kept Joshua Dobbs on your team as a backup if he would have played for us by us playing against him with that 49ers team?
I'm sorry, repeat that question again.
When you seen Joshua Dobbs play against us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a flashback of when he was holding it down till Kyler Murray came back?
I mean, I think he played pretty solid. I'm not going to lie. I think Dobbs played pretty solid, to be honest with you, but he didn't have a lot of his top guys. There were a lot of third string, fourth stringers, but of course, when it unraveled, it got unraveled real quick. I don't think Dobbs did bad. I think he did solid, but that's what he was doing with us too. He was playing solid, but he couldn't win games for the Cardinals. Like that's the reason
I
why we
was
only
getting
had one win. You know what I mean? He's a solid backup quarterback. I feel
I was getting somewhere with that.
Yeah, well, I feel people can disagree with me or not. I feel like he got shipped off because of they didn't want to have any quarterback controversy. Now, I'm not saying that Dobbs is better than Kyler Murray. No, I'm not saying. I'm saying quarterback controversy because you know how the fan base is. If somebody struggles, people call for their name. Nobody's calling for Toon's name. Nobody is because we saw that 1 week versus versus Cleveland. Now that ain't all his fault as well, but that's kind of the nature of the beast. When you see that small sample size, people are not going to want to go to him. But I feel like if Dobbs was here, there would be a portion of the fan base saying, oh, Dobbs. Now, are they right? Probably not. But I feel like that's probably one of the reasons why they shipped him off as weirdly as they did. Question, RC3?
I was just saying though, because Toon Band never played since he been in Arizona. So I just was saying that maybe been motivation for Kyler Murray to actually be better than what he is right now for him, and for him to have another quarterback under the helm behind him that make him stay on his feet and be more motivated, and maybe now he would take the game a little bit more serious. Bad enough, good, he got good coaching, but just add that into the mix as well too. Now you know that your job's on the line, and now you really got to play for it.
So you're saying add a backup quarterback is what you're saying?
Yeah. And I think that really will put a spark under Kyler to do better than what he is because that's the issue. When you feel like nobody, come on, we can play over Clayton Tune. So
that's cold-blooded.
You got to look at it. Anybody in this box right now can play over Clayton Tune.
I can't. I'm just going to say I can't.
Unless you want to revive Colt McCoy's arm. I mean, which one you want? Like,
I'm more Skelton-esque. That's who I am. And if you don't know,
RC3, I'm 53 years old with a bad back. There's no way.
Exactly. And I believe that you could throw better than Clayton Tune. But go ahead.
I can.
All right, let's do this. Let's do the last clip that we have here, and it has to do with RC3, so it's a perfect segue in terms of backup quarterback, and it's something that I've been preaching for a long time. They ended up asking him the doubt that's happening around Kyler Murray. What does Jonathan Gannon had to feel about this? But this is a really good clip, and this is how we're going to end it off. So let's listen to it.
There's a lot of doubts about Kyler. 6 years into his career, he's yet to lead this team to one playoff win. With that being said, is he your starting quarterback for next season?
100%.
Do you feel that you might want to bring in a veteran backup or look in the draft for another quarterback? Would a veteran backup be of any assistance to, I don't know, maybe push him or help him or guide him?
Yeah, I don't know that. I feel good about where Clayton's at. Where I know he didn't get to play a lot in games this year, but I thought his development this year has been really good. And we're always going to do what's best for the team. I mean, that's from top down. But there's no doubt in my mind he can get us to where we want to go.
Okay, what say you? Do you feel, hearing this, that we're probably going to get a quarterback, or are we leaving it up to the ether? Right. Let's start off with Ivan here. What are your overall thoughts on this clip?
I mean, I think you need to. I mean, just Clayton Tune, we saw what happened. Like RC3 was hitting all the points, right? So Clayton Tune really isn't it. So the betterment of the team would be to have a viable quarterback behind Kyler Murray in case anything happens. Not only just to push him, but also in case he goes down, someone's got to steer this ship, especially if we're going to go out there and spend a bunch of money this offseason. So you got to have a plan B in place for everybody. So I think Kyler Murray needs to have a solid backup. And I think it's Zach Wilson. I'll stay on that train until it happens. I think it's Zach Wilson for the cheap. And we'll see what happens.
Okay. Love to hear it. All right, let's go over to Arturo. What are your thoughts, man?
I agree that we need to have somebody be a threat for Kyler. I'm like, we should have kept Dobbs if Murray's gonna think that, oh, my job's not secure. Like, maybe he would have played better if we had Dobbs on this season. I'm like, that way, people would have called for Dobbs. I'm like, and Murray would have felt the pressure. I'm like, as you said, I'm like, nobody was calling for Tune. I'm like, he didn't feel that pressure. I'm like, was Murray? Like Murray, whenever he's throwing those picks, I'm like, what are they gonna do? Bench me for Tune? I like, he has that confidence. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he sees it. I mean, he sees Tune how he plays too. Like, they're not gonna bench me for this guy. I'm like, Gannon doesn't say nothing about Tune either. I'm like, we need somebody. I'm like, I like that. I like the guy from the Longhorns. I'm like, he has 4 years here. I'm like, he has experience. He's kind of like a Dak Prescott. I'm like, get him in the fourth, fifth round, but not like to have him long term, but just for a threat.
You're talking about Quinn Ewers or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like, whenever I was seeing that for Arizona and Texas game, I'm like, man, this guy's playing exactly like that, giving the game away in the end.
Love it. Love it. I've been over there having the horns down. Okay, we'll get into that a little later. Let's go over to Mark, and then we'll finish off with RC3.
Honestly, I think every position player needs to have somebody behind them to push them. So it doesn't matter if you're Kyler. It doesn't matter if you're Connor. It doesn't matter if you're Harrison Jr. It doesn't matter what position. Any D lineman, anything. It doesn't matter. Everybody needs to have somebody to push them. And right now, we don't have anybody to push anybody. So there you go. I believe that's where most of our problem is. So that's how I feel.
Okay. RC3? What thoughts?
I have 3 in a wild card right now. Actually, 4 in a wild card. I could say Huntley is one. Malik Willis, because he plays amazing. I could say bring back Dobbs if you want to. My wild card is Cooper Rush.
Interesting.
Because that's another name that has not been said. And the only reason why I said, and the other one I was going to say, which is my wild card, which is Mariota. And
I thought you were
everybody
gonna
could
say
say
Trey
nah.
Lance.
Trey Lance.
So, Trey Lance is here and there. He doesn't throw very good on the run. His accuracy is at 72. So, but the thing is, I say Mariota is because of the ties that he already have with Monty Austin-Ford as well too. And any place that he went to as a journeyman, he played very well, and he know how to get the receivers the ball along with the tight end. So I think those would be my 4 in the wild card, but I'm really pushing for like a Cooper Rush or Malik Willis or whatever like that, because you really want to still keep that legs moving and churning on that team that could throw the ball as well too, just in case if Kyler have a little tweak problem.
Snoop. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind Huntley at all. I feel like that would be really, really cool for the Cardinals to potentially do something. Well, I'm glad we all agree that, having some sort of contingency plan, backup plan should be in the cards for the Cardinals. Jonathan Gannon didn't say no. he wanted to praise Clayton Tune, which, let's be honest, I don't think anybody really pays attention to that. But he left it up, right? As long as we're going to try to build off this, or make this roster better, you got to look at every single position. So let's end it off with this. I'm going to leave it up to you four guys. If you have any questions for me, for anybody on the panel, let's open it up. Let's go ahead and give it 5 minutes, and we'll close up shop.
Hey, can I start off?
Of course.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Hey, so we just finished the season, right?
Yep.
So the free agents we need to bring back, guys that are currently with expiring contracts. Who do we need to bring back? Your top 3 guys.
That's a good question. All right.
Oh, I don't even know who we have.
I'll go first.
Go
That's
RC3.
easy.
Go RC3.
Can we take Bidwell's salary with this too?
Take his jet.
Like-
I don't care.
Yeah. No, honestly, Trey McBride needs to resign. That's hands down. I think that I'm gonna have to go with Mac Wilson as well too. I think that he need to be extended because he actually has a lot of fierce tenacity into this defense that's over there that's been playing their heart out. And also make sure you lock up Garrett Williams.
Okay. So quick question. Ivan, you're saying the people that are set to be free agents from the Cardinals, right? So
Correct.
Kazir White, Will Hernandez, who else are there? You have a list there?
Yeah, so I was going. Yeah, Bryant's kind of the gimme, right? That's not even a debate. It has to get done. Kaiser White, Nick Rallis' son's named after him, so I think he's coming back.
True.
That too.
Will Hernandez, seeing how he comes back from the injury, I think he was a solid piece. But then you have like a bunch of like depth guys that played a lot this year. So, I mean, you could talk LJ Collier, who played 55% of the snaps. Evan Brown played 98% of the snaps this year. Kelvin Beachum, 2/3. Like, there's guys that are like good depth pieces. But I think the 3, like, you got to get back, or you have to sign before we have any kind of disputes like we kind of did with Buddha there for a while, right? Are we going to resign him? Is like get McBride done, get Kaiser done, and then I would say, depending on his health, Will Hernandez, because he's still pretty young too. I think he's 28. So those would be my top 3. But yeah, definitely like the guys, Mac Wilson, Garrett Williams. Yes, those guys. I think our secondary in general is pretty solid.
Yeah.
A bunch of young guys there, but they're scrappy. There's people saying that, we're good with Rabbit and Buddha in the back. We could let JT walk. Like, no, I think you keep, JT for next year. He's still under contract. He carries a lot of dead cap weight. If we cut him, no one's going to trade for him for $12 million. So I think you keep the 3 safety look in case one of them goes down. Or I think you play all 3 at the same time. You play your best 5 or 6 DBs, and I think Buddha, Rabbit, and JT are 3 of those 5 or 6. So
and even if they want to do a split share too, because I had somebody on it. He told me the same thing, like, oh, we should just cut JT, and I was like, why? We have him under contract. He's a solid player. I mean, especially if somebody goes down, you have somebody like, I like Rabbit, I really do. But JT's got the experience. He's got everything he possibly can. That's the way I feel about it. So I 100% agree with you there, Ivan. Anybody have any other questions here for the panel? For me, we got 3 more minutes before we close up shop.
Okay, go ahead. My fault.
All right, sorry.
Go, Mark.
I just want to say, hey, RC3, it's been a long time since I've seen you, and especially even on here. So thank you very much, brother. I missed you. So
see you on Instagram.
Arturo, you have any questions for the panel, for me? Anything before we close up shop?
You know what, Mike? I thought about it the other day, man. I was like, we were the Chicago Cardinals before. And then, whenever the Bears won a Super Bowl, we used to be the St. Louis Cardinals. We moved out of there. The Rams won a Super Bowl before Cardinals even won for St. Louis, and they even won one coming back from LA too,
Yeah.
And And then I'm like, man, I don't know if I don't think it's the state of Arizona. I'm like, I bet you if the Cardinals move and another team move to Arizona, y'all have a championship too.
Oh,
And
God.
I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, I love my team, and I'm not even from Arizona. I'm not from St. Louis. I'm not from Chicago. Chicago. I'm not a Kyler Ben Penguin win.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I don't know why. I'm like, sometimes I cry about it. I'm like, I'm not gonna change my team. I'm not gonna go anywhere. But I'm like, why did I pick this team? I'm like, why did I have to watch football whenever Kurt Warner and Larry Fitzgerald were on the team, and I fell in love with this team, and I'm like, and I've been through it. I'm like, I look at this team's history. I'm like, we gotta just change. I'm like, that's why I want us to have like a winning, just bring in players that like have that winning mindset. I'm like, I live here in Dallas. I'm like, I like, I, all I hear, I get made fun of here a lot because I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'm like,
Dallas country.
they got five rusted rings that I was never a part. I never saw any of all the greatness from that time. All I saw was, Quincy Carter as their quarterback, and they were sorry. I'm like, I really didn't understand football at that time, but I'm like, I know that's a sorry team, you know. And I really didn't start watching football until I'm like, I swear to you, until the Steelers and Cardinals Super Bowl.
Oof.
But I didn't even know about it. And I was going for the Steelers only because my aunt, didn't want the Steelers to win because she's a Cowboy fan
Yeah.
and she didn't want them to get another ring. And then I didn't become a fan until after that Super Bowl, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how stupid I am.
Well, honestly, bless your heart. You're not even from Arizona. Unfortunately, I was born here in Arizona, so all these teams I had to adopt. We got one championship, and that's the Diamondbacks, and that's what we got to hold on to. All right, let's let RC3 end it off, and then we're gonna close up shop. Anything, RC3?
I think that the team should go for a defensive 7 to 8 man rotation. I think we should keep Ojulari, grab the other Ojulari. I think that we keep Darius Robinson, and I think with our draft picks that we have right there, I think we should get defensive tackles, but also lead by the leadership of Myles Garrett. I think that if we have that, you can also see if you can get to the quarterback more on sacks, you can see what your defensive backs can actually do now that they have more time to catch up and don't be digged and dug out and burnt. I think Murphy Bunton has been a part of a good team, and he was a part of that team because of their front seven. That's why that they looked at him for that. I think that Williams would be great. I think Melton would be great. I think that Buddha will expand more because the fact is, if you put pressure on that front line, everything else will come better with that team, and that gives motivation for the offense. And make sure you sign a veteran wide receiver or trade for one. I smell a Stephon Diggs, but go ahead.
Ooh, okay. All right, y'all. Well, we'll close up shop right here. Thank you. Ivan, you had
I
something else
think he's
before?
washed.
Last thing, man. Last thing.
Go ahead.
And RC3, you've been saying it, and I've been saying it too, man. We need a Myles Garrett type player. We need that dynamic X player that is going to get it done for this franchise. And if it costs the number 16 pick, I'm all for it. I'll end it with that.
Ooh, all right. We'll close it up right here. Arturo, Ivan, Mark, RC3, thank you so very much for jumping on. Absolutely do appreciate it. Have a great rest of your night, guys, and appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you. All right,
Thank you,
let's do
Mike.
this here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Let me go ahead and make sure that everybody here is out of the background. Here we go. Perfect. Okay. Great stuff. Great stuff. This is the best part about obviously doing this with channel members coming on here. And I know I saw a lot of people very involved in the chat. Let me know if you guys did like this type of content because it gets an opportunity for guys that's, that they want to have a voice to jump on the channel here and obviously speak. So appreciate everybody to jump on. If you guys do want to participate and you're a channel member of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube, I'm going to be trying to do this a lot more here come 2025. I know I said this, 2 years ago, but I'm going to try moving forward to start doing this a lot more often. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. We are going to be closing up shop right here, but I want to give a huge shout out here to the sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube. That's going to be BetUS Casino. Did you you know that BetUS also has a casino for all the followers who like slots or live casino dealers? Take advantage of BetUS's amazing sign-up bonus, 200% sign-up bonus up to $5,000 or 250% for crypto sign-up bonus up to $5,000. Of course, it's going to be using promo code YouTube150 upon signing up. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Have a great rest of your night. And as always, go Cardinals.